Welcome to Cornerstone Today. This is a daily moment in the Word designed to help you start your day grounded, steady, and focused on what matters most. Each weekday morning we'll open Scripture together, seeking clarity, strength, and hope for the day ahead. This is about learning to walk with Jesus in real life, right where you are. Let's begin today in the Word. Well, good morning, everybody. It's Matthew here. It's a new day, new week. Thank you for joining us here on this podcast. I hope that you're having a good morning. We're going to go back now to Philippians chapter 2, where we've been over the majority of February. I hope that you've been enjoying our study. We're going to be looking at verses 25 through 30 today. Paul here in this section, he just mentioned the example of Timothy in the previous verses. Now he's going to take a look at somebody that is a tremendous servant in the early church, and that's Epaphroditus. He starts in verse 25, I considered it necessary to send to you Epaphroditus, my brother, co-worker, and fellow soldier, as well as your messenger and minister to my need. Now, there's a lot in verse 25, and I want you to see the kind of language that Paul uses here. He references a brother and a co-worker and a fellow soldier and a messenger and minister. And so Epaphroditus is not casual in his service. He's deeply committed to Paul and the church and ultimately to Jesus. Now, Epaphroditus had been ill. In fact, it was a very serious illness. Verse 27 says he was so sick that he nearly died, but God had mercy on him. And so I think a lot of what was driving this, Epaphroditus had been faithfulness to God. He placed himself in danger and maybe risks his health in certain ways. And Paul tells us, if you go on down to verse 30, that he came close to death for the work of Christ, risking his life to make up what was lacking in your ministry to me. And I don't think we should pass over lightly what he says here as far as he risked his life for the work of Christ. This may be challenging to some Americans to think about, but the Christian life is not always safe, and it's not always comfortable. Sometimes our obedience is going to involve risk of reputation or exhaustion or even a personal cost. But I think Paul does something very important here. He's not risking or glorifying danger. What he's doing here is honoring faithfulness. And he tells the church, welcome him in the Lord with great joy, and people like him you hold in honor. So faithful servants are not to be taken for granted. They're to be recognized, valued, and encouraged. We live in a culture, that often celebrates visibility and platform. Paul is highlighting something different here. Quiet courage, sacrificial service, and steady commitment. It was Jesus who said, whoever is faithful in very little is also faithful in much. And so Epaphroditus may not have been as well known as Paul, but in God's kingdom, his faithfulness matters more than his fame. And so our courage does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it's going to just involve showing up. Sometimes it's going to look like serving quietly. And sometimes it's going to look like giving when no one is looking. And the promise is that God sees. So take a moment today and encourage someone who is serving faithfully in the work of Christ. Maybe they're doing it in a quiet way. That's okay. Let them know how much you appreciate what they do. And then ask God to give you the courage to serve him fully, even if your faithfulness is going to involve risk. Because in the kingdom, those who are poured out and those who serve and those who risk for Christ, those are the ones who truly make a difference. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for spending these moments in the Word today. As you go, remember this. Faithfulness is built one ordinary day at a time. Keep walking with Jesus. Keep listening. Keep trusting. God is at work all the time. Join us again every weekday morning for another moment of encouragement and truth here on Cornerstone Today.